Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Warren Wren. He's the CEO of Golden Minerals. They're pouring gold, and he talks us through that and their plans for the rest of the year and possibly getting into second production. If you want our thoughts on the conversation, what we discussed, the company itself, its plans, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club. Where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. There's summaries of other interviews that we've done just to save you some time. There's commentary from experts from around the world on a variety of commodities and companies. There are training courses on there to help you with your own diligence process. And more importantly, there's a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, safe and friendly environment. Sounds nice. Do go and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So give us a like, we appreciate it. Leave your comments below. We'll get back to absolutely everyone. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today, do take a look in the description below. Warren, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, Matthew. How about yourself?
I am magnificent. Are you suited and booted? This looks like when CEOs start producing cash, talking to the market, they were smarten up a bit.
Yeah, we try to stay smart.
You pull the suit out.
We're doing well.
Right, you're doing well.
Doing very well on the project, Matthew. Glad to say that we're in production at Rodeo as planned, on schedule, a little bit ahead of schedule. We had our first pour at the end of January. And things are going along very, very well. We're producing gold on schedule about the grades we had in mind, and we had a bit of a ramp up. We're still ramping up production through February, and we'll hit full production in March. But we're already seeing that we're cash positive on the project basis, and we'll be cash positive as a company in Q2. So Q1 will show the results of the production, and Q2 will show the overall results relative to the company burn, and we should be putting more money in the bank at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Things are going really, really well. Like you've kind of skipped through and hit all the touch points there, but I just want to remind people who haven't perhaps heard the story a little bit of how you've kind of got here. We've been talking for over a year. Heard the story pretty early on, where you came from and what you're hoping to do. In fact, we last spoke at the beginning of November. Your share price has literally doubled since then. I think you've got the producer re-rate there because you've got Rodeo, as you mentioned, into production. First pour. It's good news. So
yeah, it's great news. It's great news. We anticipated that the market would re-rate us as a producer because we made that transition from exploration company to producer. Great to be back in production. Obviously, yeah. Love to see those gold bars. And I think the fact that we said what we were going to do, we did what we said we were going to, and we're spot on in terms of schedule.
Okay,
pulling it off.
Let's remind people though, because you've got a whole stack of projects, right? Like I said, when we met, it was under difficult circumstances. You had to sort a few things out. You managed to technically. You still left with a big portfolio of companies, and you had to get the sequence in terms of how you played it right. So Rodeo was the nearest term or the nearest producing asset that you could go for. It's a short life of mine. It's 2 to 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah. The initial plan was about 2.5 years. I think we'll extend it some. There is an opportunity to continue producing some lower grade material depending on gold price. And there's exploration opportunity to expand. But you're right. It was the first piece in the puzzle. And it was low capital cost, which is why we were able to do it. We had already, we have the production facility, the mill. We're using contract miners, so the initial capital cost was less than $1.5 million all in, so we were able to fund that from cash on hand, and go right into production, very rapidly. The beauty of that is it gives us the capital to advance the other projects. So we have some longer life projects at Velardania, the underground mine, the high grade gold, silver, lead, zinc underground veins. And we have a plan to move that forward using the new technology, the biooxidation, to recover more of the gold content, actually get 90% gold recovery out of the pyrite con using that. And then we have our additional portfolio of exploration projects in Mexico, Nevada, and Argentina. And so we see that we can set ourselves up for sustainable, profitable production starting with Rodeo, going to Velardania, and in the same time, move forward on these other exploration plays that have the potential to be additional production assets down the road.
Right.
So it's organic. It means we don't have to have debt. We don't have to raise more money. We can just move, very logically through the sequence using the assets that we already own.
Right. Okay. Again, you're kind of skipping through it here, and I'm just conscious of people new to the story. So for people who are new to the story, please look at some of the other interviews that we've done. We talk through business plans, strategies, technology, the team, etc. And that's important because, as you say, it was getting the pieces in the right order. So let's be clear. Rodeo is a cash producing machine for the next 2.5, 3 years, I think you're suggesting. Your 10K came out, suggests you've got just under $10 million, and Rodeo will continue to produce cash. Maybe talk about some of the numbers thrown up from that. And then if you don't mind, tell us where you're going to be applying that cash.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So Rodeo is scheduled to produce, we're projecting 12,000 to 14,000 gold ounces in 21. And so we're spot on schedule for that. That gives us cash flow, a net operating margin of between, let's see what it is, 11 to 12.5 million net operating margin, a couple million less after tax. So plenty of cash coming in, more than enough to handle our G&A and other exploration projects. In addition to the most important part is advancing the Velardania feasibility on the bioxidation and the potential restart. And I'm looking, frankly, at restarting the Velardania operation late this year, potentially. I need the green light from the directors. We need to make sure that the plan's in place. But it looks quite good to me to make money on selling a lead silver concentrate and zinc concentrate, stockpile the pyrite, arsenopyrite that has all the gold in it, and hold that until we have the BIOX facility built, probably in late 22, early 23.
Right. Okay.
So there's a sequence there that gets us, cash from Rodeo, more cash from Velardania sulfide, and then full production, sustainable production with the BIOX facility, toward the end of 22 kind of thing.
Right.
For that piece.
Yeah. Okay. So you've always managed money quite carefully because obviously you had revenues coming in from the mill previously. That's stopping. You've got a low G&A. You're using Rodeo as a ATM. Sorry to use that phrase, but it kind of is, to make sure that there's not a lot of dilution for shareholders, and it allows it funds your development of the main prize for you, well, the next main prize for you, which is Velardania. Can you just remind me again, what is it that you've got at Velardania? What do you see happening there?
Yeah, so Velardania, based on the PEA that we put out last spring, has potential to produce about 2 million silver equivalent ounces per year for at least 10 years, and it's wide open. And it produces that silver at a very low cost based on the gold lead zinc credit to it. Basically, you're producing it for, well under $10 an ounce, and it's really more like 6 to 8. So at today's silver price, there's quite the margin there. So we'll have to do a bit more fine tuning on that. But the PEA showed that with the gold recovery using the BIOX, that this is just a lovely project. It produces in the order of 20 million net operating margin annually from that operation at a fairly low throughput, 300 tons per day. So it's got great potential, and it's long lived. We know these veins continue to depth. We've got the resource to run it for 10 years now, and we think we can find much more going to depth below that. So it's a sustainable story, a long-term story. That's why it's the bigger prize.
Okay, and do you think you've removed all doubt in the market with regards to the BIOX process?
Well, probably not yet. So we're going to do another round of testing. So that's on the schedule this year. We're producing another bulk sample. We'll do the flotation concentration, send the appropriate representative concentrate to South Africa for additional testing. And mostly what we're looking at here is to finalize the size of the reactor vessels we need for the bioxidation. Just get the details of that plan so we can engineer it and have blueprints and start building. So that's the part that needs to be further defined. I think there's no question that it works and works well. And we have a very good estimate on capital. We'll fine tune that. We think it's going to be about a $6 million construction project for the BIOX plant to add on. So not huge and well within our means to self-fund. We do need more detail on that though. So that's really the next step in that process.
And what's the timing of that information as you'll be able to, in terms of you being able to put that into the market and let us know how it's performing, recovery rates, its ability to actually do the job that you're going to need it to do to get these gold and lead, zinc credits? Yeah,
so the schedule is a little bit tentative still. We're getting it firmed up. I need my bulk sample first, and then the flotation separation. We're trying to optimize that, but my plan is to have that flotation concentrate in South Africa by late spring. We'll have results probably in the summer from their last tests, and have an engineering design by the end of the year with hopefully with blueprints to start building the following year. So it's about a year-long process. It's a little bit less. And we've been, we've started on, preparing the stopes to get this second sample, or third sample actually, for the BIOX testing. And so it will take most of the year to get those results.
Okay.
But we'll have some coming in partway through.
So that's clear. So therefore you can focus on Rodeo, building up that cash in anticipation of Quivo being ready. I noticed that you're also drilling, and I know it's very early days at your Quivo, if I've pronounced that properly. What are you hoping to do there? Your Quivo?
No, it's a great district. It's a district scale project that we control. Quivo is how it's pronounced in Spanish, but it's close enough.
Close enough.
And we had some great initial results. We had some very high gold, silver grades in some of these veins. We found an entirely new vein that we hadn't realized was there before, has never been mined. There has been some historic production, minimal, here at the district, in the 20th century and before. Just down to the water table. So we're looking at extensions down, new veins, and other veins that were only just barely touched in the district. So there's 5 veins that we're looking at, significant veins so far. And the next stage of drilling will show what the sort of size potential will be. We'll get additional hits on these high grade zones, see what the widths are, see what the strike length looks like on these veins that we're looking at, and be able to, more reasonably project, how long it'll take us to get to a possible resource type position here. But it's a very exciting project.
Right. So I mentioned El Cuervo there again in Argentina because we discussed it previously. I should also mention Sand Canyon, United States. So I'm just wondering, my point being is that there's a lot of projects which require some level of, love and attention. Is it costing you much to kind of keep those projects on the books?
No, they're very low cost really to keep on the books, and we're able to fund the next stage of exploration, without spending much more than we did last year, basically. So it's plenty of cash and income to do it. We'll do it at a reasonable pace, and really I'm going to spend some time looking at doing some exploration drilling right at Rodeo this year, because I'm based on what I saw here week before last when I was down there, I see exactly where we need to go for extensions of that near pit resource. So I'm very interested in that. So we'll do that, Quivo, and we do have a project in Argentina that, other than Quevar, that we'll be looking at starting it this year.
You got to pronounce that for me, because I'm like going Desertio. Well,
that's it.
It is.
That's it.
Right. I can retire happy. I mastered another language, as opposed to mastered. So, okay. Well, look, it sounds like the market has reacted positively. Let's say you've doubled your share price since we spoke at the beginning of November. They've given you that re-rate. I thought the interesting thing was it was also at a time when the market was falling away for precious metals, both silver and gold. So you must be quite pleased.
Yeah, very, very pleased with the market reaction. I think we've done, because we did what we said we were going to do, we got that, extra vote of confidence, I think. And to me, it bodes well for, our progress getting back into Velardania. We did what we said we were going to do with Rodeo. We'll do it again with Velardania, and prove that we can have that sustainable income that we're looking at as right now potential.
Okay, well, talking about doing what you say, or saying what you're going to do, and then saying what you're going to do, and then doing what you say. I think that is important. So Q1 coming up, what can we expect to see from you? What sort of information are you going to be putting out there?
So the first 3 months of production, which are not full scale production from Rodeo, will be shown, the results of that. And you'll see that we will have ramped up to full production by the end of Q3. So we'll see that ramp up curve, and we'll be cash positive on a project basis for Rodeo. We'll show that we've paid back what we had put into it. We'll show that we're on the track to make the sort of income over the full year that we've projected, and that no hiccups. And so those are the takeaways from what the Q1 should be showing us.
Okay, so that was great. So what do you think that the market should be thinking about you now? Because you've had years of inactivity. You're very modest. You were never a promoter per se. You didn't want to promise things before you knew you were able to deliver. What should they be thinking about you as a company now?
I think pay close attention to our progress on Velardania. That is the next big bonus for the company, is getting that on schedule. Starting the sulfide production, having the results from the BIOX test work, and moving into the full scale benefit of those assets that we hold. So to me, that is certainly the next main piece of the puzzle. And also the exploration results from Yokivo, from Desierto, from our other work, will show that the pipeline, how strongly we're going to support that pipeline of projects for the future. So in my mind, we've built a company that is going to be viable this year, with expansion possibilities and a very strong future based on the organic growth through projects we already hold.
But do you think you've just done the easy bit? I mean, Rodeo was the easiest, quickest win. It gets you the cash. It wasn't too complicated technically. It's open pit. Do you think what lies ahead of you is going to be harder?
Because we have the experience mining at Velardania, and we know what the issues were in the last production cycle. The one was the lack of the gold recovery. We've got that one solved. The other was dilution in mining. We know how to solve that. I think that the focus we have now and the team that we've built is going to allow us to take advantage of these assets that we have much more easily than previous. And so I'm much more confident this time around, frankly, than we were before. And I really like, the prospects of Velardania coming online and having that sustainable cash flow for the company going forward.
Beautiful. Warren, nice update. I wanted to get you really when the Q1s came out, but it was worth, I think, speaking to you before then, because you've done what you said, which is great. Let's catch up after your Q1s come out and see what they look like, okay?
Fantastic, Matthew. Great talking to you.